158 feet high, 12 feet wide, weighing in at a total weight of 690,000 pounds. 9 engines putting out a total of 854,000 pounds of thrust. This is a simple 1 to 100 scale model of SpaceX Falcon 9 as their primary launch platform that they're using to, as a private company really, to push their way up into space. Riding on top of this massive rocket is the Dragon capsule, multi-purpose, cargo, personnel, complete self-sufficient system. Why is SpaceX the way into the future? All right, to start, well, we need to know, what does our current space program look like? Recently, the shuttle replacement plan after the retirement of the space shuttle was shelved. We all know government's cutting back, spending's getting tight. We just didn't have the money to completely redesign, redevelop, test, evaluate, rebuild, redesign. We all know the process of things with government spending. We didn't have the money for it. So we're forced to go and look at other means. Right now, according to a New York Times article, we're paying the Russians $60 million for 1 seat to send an astronaut up to the International Space Station. We also have communications and intelligence satellites that are very vital, as we all know, that need to be repaired. New ones launched. Don't have a system for that right now. Have to rely upon the private industry for it. The Commercial Orbital Transportation Services, also known as the COPS program, was NASA's short-term solution to the shuttle issue. Right now, it does not cover transportation of crews to the International Space Station. However, it does take a new approach towards kind of getting the incentive out there for private companies. Instead of a upfront, hey, we will say that we will charge you this much in order to complete this mission, it pays for performance. Certain metrics, certain requirements have to be met in order for the company to get paid. According to a NASA fact sheet, its intended purpose is to provide support to the International Space Station and beyond, eventually stationed on the Moon, a completely independent American space station, possibly even Mars. Little fun fact, if you go to the SpaceX website, you'll actually see what they list out as the maximum cargo that they can transport to Mars using a Falcon 9 Heavy, which is the Falcon 9 base and 2 additional solid rocket boosters to boost it in there. So SpaceX is already planning long range for an eventual Mars mission. According to a Good Magazine article, SpaceX, as of 2012, had already reached 37 out of the 40 milestones and had received 381 out of 396 million for the cargo development program. So what are the problems? We know that the private industry is going to be our way going forward until we can eventually create another shuttle-like program. But why is it such an issue going into it? One of the biggest reasons, obviously, is the government. We like to stick to the same process. We like to keep to the same people that have been providing us things that we know and trust. United Launch Alliance, otherwise known as ULA, is a Lockheed Martin and Boeing joint venture. They pretty much managed through a no-bid contract 36 payload launches valued at $70 billion through 2013, according to a Washington Post article. A no-bid contract. Nobody else was considered to have certified assets, according to the Air Force. Just recently, in May of this year, Elon Musk, in support from some higher senators such as John McCain, actually filed suit against the government, asking why was it just awarded to this one company? Why didn't you allow others to compete for it? So government bureaucracy obviously is continuing to get in the way. Again, with that certification, SpaceX has already proven in May of 2012 they launched Falcon 9 with a unmanned Dragon capsule just filled with supplies up to the International Space Station. First private company ever to complete a launch and recovery of a spacecraft. So a huge milestone. So if it's good enough for NASA and they can resupply the International Space Station, why are they not good enough for the Air Force in order to launch rockets? Another issue, given recent political issues, ULA actually utilizes Russian engines for some of its Atlas rockets. We all know what's going on with the sanctioned battle over who's not going to get what, and Russia has actually threatened to cut off the supply of those rockets. If we only have one provider all the way out through 2030, what's going to happen if we don't have those rockets? ULA keeps a year's supply, but after that year, then what? So how can we go forward? I mean, we know we're going to have to rely heavily upon private space, but what can we do in order to make this process a lot easier and to actually get the best bang out of our money? First step, revoke the ULA contract, or set it up and allow it to be renegotiated and as well as republished for open bids. Streamline that certification process through the Air Force, and hey, If they've proven that they have success with this platform, speed it along. Obviously, it's working. So what are the issues? What are the holdups? Encourage the private enterprise, as well as switching to more of the performance-based, you meet XYZ requirements, you get paid XYZ dollars, instead of this, well, we think it's going to run a $60 billion, and 2 years down the road we find out it's costing $120 billion. Force them to come in at those actual on-target values and estimates. COTS was a very successful program. Expand that out in order to reach towards crew modules. One fact that I found actually from a NASA report, if NASA were to use their systems to design, test, and launch just a single Dragon 9, Falcon 9 system with a Dragon capsule, NASA figures it would have cost them $3.9 billion. SpaceX estimates that their cost, start to finish, for the first launch of the Falcon 9 and Dragon capsule, $1.6 billion. Right there, huge savings. Imagine how many beans, bullets, and Band-Aids that would buy us. How many Ospreys is that? How many hours of fuel? How many parts is that? Translate that into what that money can go towards. Just recently as well, last month actually, SpaceX is developing what they call the Grasshopper system. So imagine 4 almost leg appendages coming off of this Falcon 9. So we launch, we get that massive amount of thrust, we go up, we separate, second stage goes off, first stage free falls, parachutes come out, and it slowly drifts down, and 100 feet off the surface, it'll fire retro rockets. Last month, they were able to successfully launch the rocket, land it within 5 meters of their intended target. That's a landing pad. All they have to do is control the speed, and now we have a reusable launch system. We're refueling it, in essence. They're innovating. SpaceX is the primary innovator. They figure that within the next couple of years, they'll be able to send someone to the International Space Station for $20 million. They'll be able to launch a satellite into space for $5 million. All that's required is to reduce the bureaucracy and open it up to fairness, push the cost initiatives, and force people to actually get performance values made. The future of man is dependent on outward expansion. Moon is a vast amount of untapped resources. Mars is just a throws away, with the possibility to create some sort of a sustainable atmosphere in order for us to move off of Earth, open up room. We all know we're crowding up. We're multiplying like rabbits. We've got to have some place to go. And I want to leave you with just a quote from Elon Musk. For those who don't know, he was the founder of SpaceX, PayPal, also Tesla Motors, a true innovative man. He says, there is a fundamental difference, if you look into the future, between a humanity that is a spacefaring civilization that's out there exploring the stars, compared with one where we are forever confined to Earth until some eventual extinction event. Kill it.